Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Martial Universe Season 7 based on novel. So let's start. The water on the Pill River suddenly boiled while numerous large waves rose and churned. Finally, they slammed onto the surrounding platforms, emitting a loud bang. The sudden commotion in the Pill River also attracted the attention of countless pairs of surrounding eyes. All of them immediately became alarmed and uncertain. Looking at this commotion, could it be that Lin Dong was about to leave the river? Quite a number of people extended their necks when this thought appeared. They really wanted to see whether this new person called Lin Dong had merely wasted 11 days below, or if he had truly absorbed all the Nirvana golden chi at the bottom of the river in one go. The black whirlpool that directly linked to the bottom of the river also showed signs of collapsing at this moment. Numerous unusually wild and violent energy shockwaves continuously emitted from the deep parts of the whirlpool. This shockwave, it's the Nirvana tribulation. In the sky above the Pill River, Chen Zhen and Wu Dao were a little shocked as they observed the black whirlpool. With their ability, they were naturally able to sense that this fluctuation was a sign of an incoming Nirvana tribulation. This fellow looks like he has really absorbed all the Nirvana golden chi at the bottom of the Pill River. Chen Zhen's eyes revealed a solemn expression as he softly said. Moreover, he only used 11 days. Wu Dao gently fondled his beard. The expression on his face also became a little complicated. Senior Ju Tong was not only viewed by the disciples of the Dao sect as a god. Even they, the hall chiefs, also felt an admiration from deep within his heart. Yet, a disciple of their desolate hall was currently able to surpass that person in terms of the Pill River head immersion result. Although I do not know what tactic he had used, but being able to absorb all the Nirvana golden chi is sufficient to prove his ability. This time around, your eyesight is very accurate. Looks like our desolate hall will no longer be overlooked, Chen Zhen laughed. His voice actually possessed some heat. After all, the desolate hall had been neglected for too many years. You should not think too highly of this little fellow. It is merely just one Pill River head immersion, and it does not mean much. If you really want our desolate hall to return to glory, we must at least wait until he has truly understood the Great Desolation scripture before discussing about it. Otherwise, he would still be unable to fight with the top disciples from the 3 other halls who have understood the 3 other great mysterious scriptures. Wu Dao voiced his thoughts. He had always thought highly of Lin Dong. At this moment, however, he could see the situation clearly and he did not wish to place too much burden on Lin Dong. Although this young person was extremely resilient, he was still too young. I know what you are thinking. However, with him having performed this matter in this manner, not only us, but even some of the other elders will quietly pay attention to him. The disciples of the 3 other halls will also focus their attention on him. If he fails to understand the Great Desolated Scriptures, it is likely that the fallout will be quite severe. At that time, there will definitely be some gossips. After all, his performance in this Pill River head immersion is a little too shocking. Chen Zhen was quiet for a moment before speaking. Let's wait and see. There are less than 3 months left before our Desolate Hall's annual competition. Currently, only Pang Tong and 3 other disciples are qualified to study the Great Desolated Scripture. Lin Dong would have to surpass the 4 of them if he wants to obtain the same qualification. These 4 fellows are no ordinary individuals. In order to preserve their dignity as seniors, it is likely that they will not allow Lin Dong to pass so easily. Wu Dao smiled bitterly and nodded. He had no choice either. After today, all the disciples from the 4 halls would become aware of Lin Dong. After all, the only one who could obtain such a result in the Desolate Hall during all these years was Senior Ju Tong, who was viewed as a god by many disciples. Therefore, many people would quietly compare Lin Dong with senior Ju Tong. In this way, it would undoubtedly cause Lin Dong to be covered under an enormous shadow. The pressure that came from that person would be a huge mountain that was placed in front of Lin Dong's training route. If he was unable to surpass it, it might end up as an enormous blow in Lin Dong's cultivation. Even Wu Dao did not know whether this matter was beneficial for Lin Dong. He was clearly aware that Lin Dong had extraordinary potential. However, the person that he needed to surpass was a demon-like genius, who had once shook the entire eastern Xian region. While Wu Dao and Chen Zhen were conversing, the ripple on the Pill River also became increasingly intense. Waves after waves of wild and violent nirvana chi continued to erupt from within the whirlpool. In the end, even some disciples on the surrounding platforms could sense it. Everyone was highly knowledgeable about the nirvana tribulation. Hence, they managed to identify it after a short while. Immediately, their expressions changed a little. Could it be that Lin Dong had truly absorbed all of the nirvana golden chi, and was even using it to attempt the nirvana tribulation? Pang Tong and the 3 other senior direct disciples on a platform also looked at this scene with surprised eyes. This was especially the case for the man named Jiang Hao. His brows were knitted slightly. Immediately, he curled his mouth and said, "He does possess some skill. However, even if he endured through it, he is merely at 5 yuan nirvana stage." Being one of the 4 senior direct disciples, Jiang Hao's strength had already reached the 7 yuan nirvana stage. At the same time, he possessed many powerful martial arts and an outstanding combat strength. Lin Dong might have defeated Tong Chuan previously, but this was not sufficient to strike fear in Jiang Hao's heart. After all, the name of the 4 senior direct disciples of the Desolate Hall was not just empty words. Bang! A light pillar that was agglomerated from the nirvana chi violently broke through the surface of the river while carrying a shocking sound along with it. Bang bang bang. After this light pillar shot out, it appeared to have sparked a chain effect. The surface of the river broke. Numerous light pillars continuously charged out from it. That wild and violent nirvana chi also swiftly spread apart. The vague fiery heat that was mixed within it caused everyone to understand that Lin Dong was currently undergoing a nirvana tribulation at the bottom of the Pill River. I wonder if that fellow is really able to endure the nirvana tribulation. It will really be a joke if he fails. Many people's eyes were gathered on the surface of the river. The nirvana tribulation was the most terrifying event for any nirvana stage expert, and no one dared to underestimate it. Hence, no one was aware if Lin Dong was able to successfully endure the tribulation. While the surface of the river was churning, the whirlpool on the surface also became increasingly small. At the end, only a 10-feet tunnel remained. "He is coming out." Ying Xiaoxiao's pretty eyes suddenly became focused, while she stood at the top of a distant mountain. Beside her, Ying Huanhuan also hurriedly lifted her eyes. Her eyes did not blink as she stared at the Pill River. Swoosh! Ying Xiaoxiao's voice had just sounded when a bright golden light suddenly erupted from the whirlpool that was about to disappear. After which, it charged out of the Pill River's surface and headed towards the clouds. Bang! The moment this golden light charged out of the river surface, a shocking ripple also instantly swept apart from the golden light. Everyone's eyes were all gathered at the golden light at this moment. It appeared as though there was a figure roaring towards the sky within the golden light. A whistle was mixed with powerful nirvana chi as it rolled and spread. The golden light gradually scattered under the focus of the countless number of gazes. After which, a skinny young figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes. There was a golden light lingering over that human figure. Looking from a distance away, that light seemed quite extraordinary. Moreover, many people sensed a kind of pressure within the golden light. Is that Yuan spirit qi? The eyes of Pang Tong's group shrunk slightly. After they advanced into 7 Yuan nirvana stage, the Yuan power within their body began to form some Yuan spirit qi. Hence, they naturally knew about this kind of ripple. However, the thing that caused them to be a little afraid was that the Yuan spirit qi ripple on Ling Dong's body appeared to be even stronger than them. He has absorbed all the nirvana golden qi. On the mountaintop, Ying Xiaoxiao tightened her long delicate hand as she slowly said. At this moment, there was no longer any doubt. With Lin Dong's 5 Yuan nirvana stage strength, it was impossible for him to create Yuan spirit qi. Hence, there was only one explanation. It was that Lin Dong had genuinely absorbed all the nirvana golden qi at the bottom of the Pill River. Ying Huanhuan bit her red lips with the back of her teeth. The expression on her pretty face was currently a little complicated. Originally, she disliked this fellow that had just joined. She even gave him an opinionated and complacent evaluation. However, she did not expect that within less than half a month, this fellow had directly shook the entire Dao sect. What's so great about it? It is merely a Pill River head immersion. If he has the ability, he should go and comprehend the great desolated scripture, Ying Huanhuan muttered. However, her confidence at this moment had disappeared as she no longer dared to look down on Lin Dong. She had similarly experienced the Pill River head immersion and clearly understood just how difficult it was to do what Lin Dong had done. Let's go, there is no need to continue watching on. The desolate hall has found quite a good seedling. However, this is insufficient to study the great desolated scripture. Hopefully he can succeed. I also wish to experience just how overbearing the strongest great desolate scripture, amongst the 4 great mysterious scripture of our Dao sect is. Ying Xiaoxiao turned around and ceased staying any longer. Her delicate figure turned into a ray of light that rushed into the distance. Ying Huanhuan also closely followed after a brief moment of hesitation. In midair, Lin Dong appeared to have sensed something when Ying Xiaoxiao and Ying Huanhuan left. He turned his head and looked towards their direction. Both of his eyes narrowed slightly. It seemed like he was the focus of quite a number of people this time around. However, this was just as well. The future will likely be even more interesting. The golden light that surged around Lin Dong, who was in the sky, was gradually withdrawn. The sharp pressure also quietly disappeared. After which, he directly descended on a flat platform in front of many pairs of eyes. When Lin Dong's figure landed, Mo Ling's group, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately came to receive him. Their faces contained some joy. Brother Lin Dong, congratulations on successfully enduring the tribulation. Lin Dong smiled when he heard the congratulations from Mo Ling's group. After which, his eyes swept over the place and was immediately startled. He did not see Little Martin or Little Flame. Where is Little Martin and Little Flame? The Little Martin duo left the Dao sect 3 days ago. They instructed me to hand this to you before they left. Mo Ling shrugged his shoulders. They were aware of just how unfathomable Little Martin was. Therefore, they did not find his unique actions to be strange. Mo Ling also extended his hand while uttering those words. His palm had a flowing golden light within it. Lin Dong could sense a trace of demonic spiritual aura from Little Martin within the golden light. They have left her. Lin Dong sighed softly. He curled his mouth and took the golden light from Mo Ling's hand. The golden light was channeled into his body the moment it reached his hand. A blurry figure also appeared within his mind. It was Little Martin. Lin Dong, I have taken Little Flame and left first. There is a place in Eastern Xian region, which is very beneficial to his training. It is likely that you will be quite safe within Dao sect and I can leave feeling rest assured. Once Little Flame has completed his training, I will bring him back. Additionally, I can also recover some of my strength during this time. In the future, there will be other issues. Little Martin's handsome face turned a little shady when he mentioned this point. His voice also contained a trace of densely cold killing intent. Lin Dong was quiet. He was aware that there were many unresolved issues from the past. Little Martin was the previous owner of the mysterious stone talisman. However, he ended up being forced by others until such a sorry stage. Had he not met Lin Dong, it was likely that he would gradually scatter like smoke within the stone talisman. That fate could be considered miserable. I understand your character. If anything happens to me, you will definitely lend me a hand even if it meant risking death. However, I must still tell you that if you wish to assist me in the future, you must increase your strength. Otherwise, I will resolve those issues by myself. Since I have already acknowledged you as my brother, I do not wish for you to seek death for no reason. By being able to force me at my peak state back, then to such an extent, my opponent is not some simple person. I will leave a trace of demonic spirit seal in your body, and I will contact you directly if anything happens in the future. If something happens to you, you can directly shatter this demonic spirit seal, and I will be able to sense it. Grandpa Martin will stand up for you if you suffer any grievances in Dao sect. It is not the Dao sect place to bully my brother. Additionally, amongst the three of us, even though that foolish tiger Little Flame has always been on your side, you must show some true ability if you want to be the big brother. Otherwise, Grandpa Martin will not agree to it. Therefore, you should train hard during this period of time. Little Martin's illusory body gradually disappeared after this voice slowly sounded. Finally, it transformed into a golden light that concealed itself in Lin Dong's body. This fellow, the corner of Lin Dong's mouth was gently lifted a little. Immediately, the fist under his hand was gradually tightened. He faced the sky and inhaled a deep breath. You can be rest assured. Although you refuse to admit it till the day you die, I will surpass you no matter what in order to get you to willingly acknowledge me as big brother. In the future, we three brothers will definitely make a name for ourselves in this world together. Back then, they had walked out from that small Qingyang town. At that time, one of them was a weak youth, another was a demonic spirit that could disappear anytime. From a certain point of view, the two of them could be considered to have relied on each other until today. This relationship was indeed something that an ordinary person had difficulty understanding. Lin Dong gradually calmed the ripple within his heart. After all, this was not some life or death separation. With his current strength, Lin Dong already possessed the ability to protect himself, and there was even less need to worry about the safety of Little Martin and Little Flame. Currently, Little Martin possessed the physical body of a celestial demon Martin, and he would not be at a disadvantage even when faced with a mysterious life stage expert. Hence, his strength was considered top tier in the Eastern Xian region. As long as no unforeseen incidents occurred, it was likely that they would be extremely safe. Currently, the only thing that he needs to be worried about is to successfully comprehend the great desolated scripture. After calming himself down, Lin Dong raised his head and smiled towards Mo Ling's group. He was just about to speak, when he suddenly sensed a pair of eyes containing a pressuring feeling shooting towards him. His brows were lifted immediately. He turned his head before his eyes turned towards the spot where the sight came from. The spot where Lin Dong looked at, stood a dark red-clothed man. The man's arm hugged his chest, and he had an indifferent expression. Although he did not say anything, there was a powerful pressure being scattered over. Lin Dong saw a somewhat embarrassed-looking Tong Chuan behind this man. His eyes flickered, appearing as though he had guessed something. The commotion that you had caused this time around is too big. Even the 4 senior direct disciples of the desolate hall headed over after being informed. That person called Jiang Hao is an extremely renowned person. Moreover, he is extremely protective of those close to him. Tong Chuan is from the same group as him. You should be careful, Mo Ling softly spoke from beside Lin Dong. His tone contained some worry. No matter how one put it, Jiang Hao was one of the 4 senior direct disciples, and he was one of the most outstanding Desolate Hall disciples. Lin Dong nodded slightly. He also clearly understood that the disciples within the Desolate Hall were divided into factions. Clearly, the factions of the 4 senior direct disciples were the strongest. This time around, even though it was justifiable for Lin Dong to take Tong Chuan's spot, it likely caused some people to feel displeased. Competition was something that would not be absent anywhere. With this thought in mind, Lin Dong looked towards 3 different directions. There were 3 other senior direct disciples there. It was possible for him to sense a pressure that was not inferior to Jiang Hao. Based on his estimates, it was likely that all 4 of them had advanced to the 7 Yuan Nirvana stage. They are indeed the most outstanding disciples in Desolate Hall. A praise flashed across Lin Dong's heart. Although the Desolate Hall was considered the weakest amongst the 4 halls, a camel on the brink of death was still stronger than a horse. This foundation was still something that one should not underestimate. Of course, these 4 senior direct disciples were indeed no ordinary individuals. However, neither was Lin Dong some soft persimmon. If they were to really fight, Lin Dong would not feel the least bit afraid of them. Swoosh! The sound of wind being split apart was transmitted from mid-air. Immediately, Chen Zhen's and Wu Dao's figure appeared on this platform. All the Desolate Hall disciples hurriedly bowed and greeted them when they saw this. Even those 4 senior direct disciples withdrew their haughtiness. Clearly, all the Desolate Hall's disciples greatly respected these 2 hall chiefs. Ha ha, Lin Dong, well done. Chen Zhen waved his hands towards the many disciples. After which, his eyes looked at Lin Dong. His old face was covered with smiles. Clearly, he was extremely satisfied with the result that Lin Dong had achieved during the Pill River head immersion. Hall Chief has overpraised me. I was merely lucky. Lin Dong hurriedly spoke in a humble manner when he heard this. Chen Zhen smilingly stared at Lin Dong. The joy within his eyes could not be hidden. He mused for a moment before saying, with your current achievement, you already possess the qualification to be promoted to become a senior direct disciple despite your brief time here. Clamor. Some uproar appeared from the platform when Chen Zhen's voice sounded. Numerous envious eyes looked towards Lin Dong. Strictly speaking, there were 4 types of disciples within the Desolate Hall: branch disciples, Desolate Hall disciple and the direct disciple. Above the direct disciple is the senior direct disciple. There were tens of thousands of branch disciples in Desolate Hall, 3,000 Desolate Hall disciples, and 300 direct disciples. However, there were only 4 senior direct disciples. From this, one could tell just how distinguished this status was. Moreover, the most important thing was that only a senior direct disciple had the right to study the great desolated scripture. Many disciples of the Desolate Hall had put in an endless amount of hard work in order to become a senior direct disciple. However, in front of their very eyes, Lin Dong, who had just entered the Desolate Hall for less than half a month, was actually directly granted an exception and made a senior direct disciple. This caused many people to be so envious that their eyes turned red. Although they were envious, they clearly understood that the ability that Lin Dong had displayed did entitle him to such an exception. Lin Dong was similarly startled because of Chen Zhen's words. A joy immediately surged within his heart. In this way, he was one step closer to the great desolated scripture. Thank you, Hall Chief. Lin Dong took a step forward. He cupped his hands in thanks. However, his voice had just sounded when a deep cry suddenly sounded from behind him. Wait! Swoosh! The eyes of everyone present turned. Finally, they looked towards the back. The red-clothed Jiang Hao was crossing his hands, before he looked at Lin Dong with icy-cold eyes. Meanwhile, a frightening yuan power ripple slowly spread from within his body. On the spacious platform, the atmosphere became much quieter due to his sudden outburst. Quite a few desolate hall disciples stared at each other in dismay. However, they closed their mouths shut and kept quiet. All of them understood Jiang Hao's character. Since Lin Dong had seized Tong Chuan's spot for the Pill River head immersion, even if this matter did not occur, he would not easily let a new disciple that had spent less than a month in the desolate hall become a senior direct disciple. At the three other directions, the other senior direct disciples Tong Pang, Fang Yun and Song Ju did not voice out like Jiang Hao did. However, there was a hint of doubt in their eyes. They had all expended great effort to achieve their status as senior direct disciples during the past years. However, as of now, Lin Dong was still a newbie. Although it had to be said that Lin Dong achieved a terrifying result, this does not mean that he would immediately receive their approval. Mo Ling and the others frowned and looked at Lin Dong with concerned expressions. They had an extremely good relationship with him, and they were naturally happy to see Lin Dong's status within the desolate hall rise. However, looking at the current situation where Jiang Hao had voiced his opposition, they all felt quite hopeless. Regardless, Jiang Hao's power, prestige and fame exceeded Lin Dong's. However, under the gaze of Mo Ling and the others, Lin Dong remained calm and collected without a trace of anger. His current disposition gained some admiration from Mo Ling and the rest. Ever since their first meeting, the fellow right in front of them could always maintain a calm and collected composure when facing any thorny situation, before settling everything in the end. In mid-air, Chen Zhen and Wu Dao shot a look at Jiang Hao while frowning. However, there was no sense of surprise within their eyes, as if they had long expected this to happen. Jiang Hao, what do you have to say? Said Chen Zhen slowly. Senior Uncle Chen Zhen, a senior direct disciple, is the role model and pride of the disciples in the desolate hall. Not only would one need to have outstanding strength, one would need to gain everyone's trust and respect. Although this junior brother is quite talented, wouldn't it be a bit too quick to promote him to a senior direct disciple right now? Said Jiang Hao solemnly as he bowed at Chen Zhen. An ordinary disciple would need to address Chen Zhen and Wu Dao as hall master. However, since Jiang Hao was a senior direct disciple, he could address Chen Zhen as senior uncle. From this, it could be seen that a senior direct disciple's status is quite high. Chen Zhen frowned and replied, Jiang Hao, there are always exceptions. If we were to follow the rules and rot without any change, the desolate hall would forever remain as the last amongst the four halls. It's true that there can be exceptions, replied Jiang Hao. Narrowing his eyes and looking towards Lin Dong, he casually added on, however, I do not believe this junior brother has obtained the qualification for an exception to be made. The instant this statement was made, quite a few disciples below the platform pulled at their mouths, as it was slightly cruel. A trace of anger swept past Mo Ling and the others after hearing what Jiang Hao said. Unknowingly, they had already regarded Lin Dong as their unofficial leader. At this moment, Lin Dong was being ridiculed. Therefore, they naturally felt displeased. However, although they were feeling discontented within their hearts, they did not dare to carelessly chip in with their comments. After all, this was the Dao sect, and Jiang Hao's status and strength within the desolate hall were way above them. Therefore, the gazes of Mo Ling and the others once again landed on Lin Dong, whose expressionless face now had a faint trace of a smile. Under the numerous gazes, he turned his body around and looked straight at Jiang Hao without a single trace of fear in his eyes. After noticing Lin Dong's vision, Jiang Hao slightly curled his lip and crossed his hands in front of his chest. An imposing aura rushed out of him and started to oppress the former. Possessing the cultivation level of 7 Yuan Nirvana stage was sufficient for him to look down on Lin Dong. Senior brother Jiang Hao, would you clarify the boundaries of the qualifications you speak of? Questioned Lin Dong as he stared at Jiang Hao and gave a faint smile. The degree of respect and your strength, said Jiang Hao casually. It has been only a short while since I entered the desolate hall, so it's plausible that most of the seniors here are not familiar with me. Thus, on the degree of respect, I truly do not have an edge. However, I can certainly tell everyone here that our desolate hall would not be ranked last in the next hall competition. Lin Dong's gentle and relaxed words resounded across the platform, causing quite a few disciples to gawk. These words were relatively rampant, as the strength of the desolate hall was greatly lacking compared to the other 3 halls in Dao sect. Trying to move up the rankings was not a simple task. On what basis do you dare to utter such arrogant words? Said Jiang Hao coldly. Based on the fact that I endured under the Pill River for 11 days, said Lin Dong casually while giving a faint smile. Jiang Hao stagnated for a brief moment before flinging his sleeves and replied with cold laughter, that does not mean anything. The current you only has a cultivation level of 5 Yuan Nirvana stage. Where is your courage coming from? If junior brother Lin Dong really has the ability to help our desolate hall break free from the last rank, it would not be a big issue to make an exception for your promotion, said a slightly famous disciple standing on the platform suddenly in a solemn voice. Yes, if you can achieve what you have just said, there's no problem with granting you an exception. After the statement was made by the disciple, a few other direct disciples added in their opinions. Although Jiang Hao was cunning with his words, all of them knew the potential of being able to endure under the bottom of the Pill River for 11 days represented. If Lin Dong was truly able to achieve what he had said and elevate their desolate hall from the last rank, this would be an extremely prideful matter for all the desolate hall disciples. After all, for so many years, their desolate hall has always been mocked by the disciples of the 3 other halls. That feeling was truly unpleasant. HMPH. After witnessing the sudden change, Jiang Hao felt somewhat angry and shouted, "You all can't be that naive, right? It doesn't matter how terrifying his talent is. How can a new disciple like him possibly compete with the top disciples who have comprehended the 3 other great mysterious scriptures? If he can't achieve it, does that mean that senior brother Jiang Hao can?" A voice rang from the platform refuted. Jiang Hao's facial expression turned somewhat ugly. The 3 great mysterious scriptures were extremely strong. If they were that easily to contend against, why would the desolate hall end up in such a pitiful state for so many years? Senior brother Jiang Hao, I presume that the current level of respect should suffice, right? Asked Lin Dong with a smile. Jiang Hao took a deep breath and replied while flames of anger surged within his eyes. Such eloquence. However, you can't thoroughly convince all the disciple here just based on that. I understand. Lin Dong faintly nodded his head, and instantly, and took a slight step forward. Stretching out his right hand towards Jiang Hao, a soft and relaxed voice rang across the platform. Senior brother Jiang Hao, please guide me. Lin Dong was clearly aware that it did not matter what he said. Jiang Hao would never be willing to let this go, thus the only way to resolve it was very simple, fight. He has guts. On the other 3 areas of the platform, the 3 senior direct disciples Tong Pang, Fang Yun and Song Ju all narrowed their eyes after seeing Lin Dong's reply. They secretly smiled in their hearts as they thought, did he really treat Jiang Hao as a kid? Although they had previously seen Lin Dong undergoing the 5th Nirvana stage tribulation, there was still an extremely large disparity when compared to Jiang Hao. Furthermore, the latter's combat prowess was not something an ordinary 7 Yuan Nirvana stage expert could compare with. Low murmuring voices could be heard spreading out from the platform. There were quite a few people that frowned. As disciples of the desolate hall, they were extremely clear on how powerful Jiang Hao really was. Although it had to be said that they had seen Lin Dong's frightening combat prowess, Jiang Hao was not a kid. He was one of the 4 senior direct disciples of the desolate hall. He is just like an adolescent bull which does not fear a tiger. The corners of Jiang Hao's mouth cracked open slightly and revealed a slight crescent that was either sneering or appreciation. Raising his head and looking towards Chen Zhen, he said, "Senior uncles, do you think I should accept this challenge? Please feel relaxed. I would show ample discretion. I am clearly aware of this junior brother's talent, and would not let any serious injuries to befall him. However, since he is now in the desolate hall, he has to understand our rules. In the future, I believe he would understand the pained heart of being a senior brother like me." After hearing that, both Chen Zhen and Wu Dao had a wrinkle on their forehead. A brief hint of hesitation flashed past their eyes. Lin Dong directly challenging Jiang Hao had slightly exceeded their expectations, as they had presumed that Lin Dong would exercise forbearance. No matter what, the former was one of the 4 senior direct disciples. Being the hall masters of the desolate hall, they were very clear about the various successes of Jiang Hao. Since Lin Dong has taken the initiative and challenged you, you naturally have the right to accept it. However, it would not be held now. Instead, it would be held 5 days later. Coincidentally, it is also the date of the monthly competition. At the appointed time, the both of you can fight to your heart's content. Chen Zhen contemplated silently for a moment, before finally flinging his hand and uttering those words solemnly. He understood that passing this obstruction, created by Jiang Hao, was essential to their plans to grant an exception for Lin Dong to become a senior direct disciple. However, Lin Dong, you have just entered the desolate hall, and have yet to learn the desolate hall martial arts. After today, you can visit the desolate hall martial arts hall and observe and choose any martial arts in there. Lin Dong was faintly startled. It seems like Chen Zhen was not favoring his odds in a fight between him and Jiang Hao. Therefore, he bought him 5 days' time to learn the martial arts in desolate hall. Ha ha, let's proceed with whatever senior uncle Chen Zhen has said. Jiang Hao gave a casual laugh, as he obviously understood Chen Zhen's hidden intentions. Shooting a look at Lin Dong, he flung his sleeves before he said with a smile, "Junior brother Lin Dong, you have to make the best out of these 5 days. I am certainly not biased against you. If you had entered the desolate hall for at least half a year to a year, I would not even mention half a word. However, currently..." Speaking until this point, Jiang Hao shook his head and stopped speaking. However, the meaning behind his words was very clear. He did not believe the current Lin Dong had the qualifications to become a senior direct disciple of the desolate hall. Lin Dong faintly smiled without a tinge of fear. A gentle chuckle, that was meant to oppose him, slowly spread out. "Thank you, senior brother, Jiang Hao, for the reminder. Then let's meet again after 5 days. This video will end here.